Well, hello, ladies, gentlemen, and whoever, whatever you identify as. Welcome to another stream. Welcome back to Why We Love Doctor Who. As always, I am joined by John, but we also have a new panel member, GoldenAgedgeek. Welcome to both of you. And shall we do our little intros and shall we get rolling with this wonderful series of, well, the Ninth Doctor for all intents and purposes?
Well, here we are. New Who Series 1 is where we are really at. Look, before I do my little bit, I'd like to give the floor to GoldenAgedgeek to say hello and set out his stall, so to speak. So over to you, mate.
Hello, I feel very honoured to be on this panel talking about some good Doctor Who. It's very exciting.
Well, glad to have you here.
This is such a wonderful time to be talking about. This year of Doctor Who it's a legendary year, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
When we get down to it, this was the make or break year, but really delivered for everybody. Well, before we do get into that, I'll just quickly on the pancreas front. My battle continues.
Yes.
Pain a little bit worse this week. It's I've got to be honest, it's a funny one because I've had a lot of encouraging news recently, with being able to go on the hormone treatments and stuff, and that's all going ahead. And I have in myself, I've actually been feeling quite a bit better because the drugs that I'm taking to help my digestion, my stomach function and stuff, I mean, it's improved my life. It's improved my nutrition. I feel, on the whole, I actually feel a lot healthier than I did. But I'm also got to remind myself of what my real situation is. And that if it wasn't for this medication, I would be, I probably wouldn't be here now, actually. We've probably already passed the point. And, it's a long road ahead of me and steady as it goes. And, I'm everyone's support and everyone's given me over the last few weeks. It's all just been so invaluable. And I am now very near to having everything sorted out. My care is now sorted out. I'm very close to getting the benefit support from the state correct as well. Almost right. And that's freeing me up. That support is freeing me from having to worry about medicine and eat and preparing food. And if I've got my energy, I can put it more to where it needs to be. And earlier this week, there was a tentative start, a very good start to a book, which I know Gobby saw.
I did indeed.
So I'm very excited about that too.
Absolutely.
And we have weeks and weeks and weeks ahead of us of Doctor Who streams planned. So we have so much to look forward to in the weeks ahead. We're not going to run out of material, but I do want to make clear to everybody that we are not going to be doing Doctor by Doctor after this one.
No.
Because there's too many stories in New Who. So instead we're going to do year by year. And I'm just looking at my mic. I can't see why it would be crackling. But,
I'll check.
I'll see what I can do with that. I think, and of course, continue to support pancreaticcancer.co.uk.
Yeah.
So that's the report on all that. The next thing is next week they're injecting me with radioactive cobalt.
Oh,
and I have to spend a long time being very, very still, and they're doing a very intense scan, which will show everywhere in my body which has reacted to the hormone therapy, and that will therefore show everywhere that there is,
Yes.
Right. So that's that done. Let's get on to better things. Here we are, and now we're going to take the TARDIS back. Good God, you know what it is, isn't it? 17 years.
17 years.
Well, it's pushing 18 years.
Oh yeah, almost 18 years. Yeah.
Back to 2005, and the return of a long forgotten, long off the television screen little program.
Yeah, that was 25. Forgot all about it.
Or, for a lot of the country, they never knew anything about it.
Oh, yes, a lot of people never
because this was Doctor Who's massive, huge, big chance to grab a brand new audience and bring itself back to life. So, where were you with it? What did you think when you first heard that Doctor Who was coming back? Which was maybe late 2003, wasn't it? when it was said, oh, it's going to be Billie Piper, and of course she was best known for rather plastic pop songs, wasn't she? And
They're just a bit and
marrying Chris Evans. So
marrying
everyone was
Chris Evans.
Who? What's she going to offer? But then we were told that Chris Eccleston was going to be cast as well.
Yes, indeed.
And things looked a little bit different. So what were you expecting? What did you reckon? Did you reckon this was going to be a great success? Did you think, this is going to be so hard to make this work? What was your feelings?
What, for me, or are you asking?
Just
for me,
let's go for Gobby first. I remember last Golden Age Geek.
Yes. Raised eyebrows were probably the first thing that was on my mind. Well, okay, Christopher Eccleston, I knew who he was, knew what a fantastic actor he was. As you said, Billie Piper, acting ability was never heard. So it
was a total blank question, wasn't it?
Exactly.
It was a total blank question.
What could happen? Russell T Davies, I'd heard a bit about his writing and seen, so there was, but it was more raised eyebrows and pretty much similar to what's coming up with the new Who with Shooting at One. It's the kind of, well, this is exciting. Let's just see what happens. And as we'll go through this, it turns out that what actually happened was rather good.
And how about you, Golden Age Geek? I mean, how did you relate? Was this your first encounter with Doctor Who when you started? Had you seen all the stuff? Where were you? Were you watching it at
this
the
was
time?
my introduction.
Right.
Oh, this was your first Doctor?
This was the first time I'd even heard of Doctor Who. Of course, since then I've gone back and watched the classic Who episodes, but this was the first time I'd heard of Doctor Who. I just literally stumbled across it and I started watching it and I just kept on, and now we're here.
So, it's a personal question, but how old were you at the time? Were you a teenager or?
Yes, around there. So this was still something I grew up on.
The show, you were the intelligent teenager. That's always where I believe the show should be aimed.
Yeah,
is the intelligent teenager. The show's always done best when it's aimed for that market because it's got enough intrigue to hold the adults, but it's not so complex the kids can't follow it.
That's it.
That's the sort of sweet spot. That's where you get classic series 13 in my view, 13, 14. That's just where it should be. Anyway, so what did you know about the show? I mean, was this all don't really know, but it grabbed you hands, or did you know it was going to be something special beforehand? Were you looking forward to it?
I literally had no clue. I had no clue about the show before I stumbled across it. I knew there was a science fiction show, and I think when I first started watching it was in 2014, which doesn't actually seem that long ago when I think of it, but it feels like a lifetime it's been since I started watching it. But yeah, I literally just stumbled across it. I watched the first episode and I thought, wow, this is something special. And then, of course, watched more.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm so glad to have you here because you have a perspective that is impossible for us to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've been knocking around since John Pertwee, Tom Baker days.
Yeah, too long.
So we can't have a fresh look at Doctor Who. We can never encounter Doctor Who fresh again. No. But what was so interesting about 2005 is that's exactly what happened. I mean, for myself personally, I was right in the middle of my working career, so work was pretty much my whole life. I wasn't particularly paying attention to Doctor Who fandom at all. I wasn't particularly going online at that time very much. I think it was about the time in my life I started to go online more, but I hadn't really dived into any of that. So I'd been insulated from fandom for quite some years at this point. But I still kept up with my classic Who watching, and I was converting from VHS to DVD. And I converted I copied all of my VHS onto hard drive. So I've always had all of my VHS classic on my hard drive. I copied the lot over. I wasn't going to just junk them. So I could pick and choose the DVDs I wanted to get based on what attracted me with the features, or I knew it was a story I particularly wanted to have a better version of. But I wasn't buying all the DVDs. In fact, I've still got a few to get from the DVD range. that I've never bothered. I've got my VHS copy on my hard drive, not that bothered to replace it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would admit that the biggest advantage to the DVDs is for us aging is the subtitles. I'm a it's true. It's true. It's sad, but true. But I wasn't such a fan at the time. I was in my early 30s, and what was really exciting was that I was actually having a house party that particular Saturday. So I had my friends round and their kids round at my house.
Right.
It wasn't a Doctor Who party. It just happened that Doctor Who was on that evening, and it was our party night. You know, so but because there were so many kids around, and not only the kids, but most of my peers who were kind of arty bohemian type, they hadn't really watched the show, or they certainly weren't anything like as interested in it as I was. So none of these people were Doctor Who fans. None of these people were Doctor Who. And of the adults who knew anything, they only knew a little. So I was the Doctor Who geek in this maybe 20 people, kids and adults in it, watching Rose go out live. And it was a brilliant experience for me.
Yeah.
Because my memory of the return of the show is about watching the show captivate and win over a room of people so that they were actually full of excitement at the end of it.
Yeah.
And that was just brilliant. That was a wonderful way for me to get back into Doctor Who too. I saw the power of the show to win hearts and minds, and this is what Rose does. So let's talk about Rose. Wow, it's pretty fantastic, isn't it?
Well, I mean, what a fantastic reintroduction for us. And a new introduction to people this particular episode was. I mean, it literally was, ladies and gentlemen, can I introduce you Doctor Who? And boom, there you go, have that. And it was like, whoa, such a brilliant opener. I mean, it couldn't have been written or acted any better, to be brutally honest.
But this is just what I'm talking about, right? Because to me and you, Gobby, when we see the opening of Rose, right, and we go, oh, Autons. We can't help it.
Yeah.
Pattern recognition. We don't have the mystery of what the hell is going on. Well, but to a new audience, they don't know anything about Autons, they don't know anything about Nestine consciousness, they don't have the reasoning of the why of what's happening. So they're socked in the face of, well, what the hell is happening? And then these dummies are moving, and it's so damn creepy.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, and then the running, and then the exploding, and then the wonderful way in which they just meet and start running together, and that immediate chemistry, that immediate bond between Eccleston and Piper. But this is before the credits are rolled.
Yeah, it's just brilliant.
You know, I mean, from a writing point of view, hat off, tipped, and everything. I mean, it's just straight in.
It's just brilliant, mate.
I mean, how did the story grab you, GoldenAgedgeek?
Yes, it'd be interesting to see your perspective.
We've just opined. What did you make of the opening scene? We just want to know.
The way that the episode's structured is very interesting because it starts off in space. So you think, oh, something like extraterrestrial is going to happen. Then it goes straight down to Earth. And for the first 10 minutes, it's very sort of mundane. You're following Rose in her everyday life. And then when she heads into that basement, you see the Autons. And then I had no clue what was going on, as you said. And then when the Doctor comes in, grabs her hand and says, run, that it really just shifts and turns into this mass, big sort of action
the
piece.
Energy and
the switch is so good.
The Murray Gold music, it pulls you straight in through the action, straight into the action. It's just a wonderful introduction. And I like that opening shot because yes, it brings you down in the world of mundane, but it's also putting the world of mundane in its place. You know, so it works both ways, doesn't it? Yeah. I do not know what that crackle is. I hope it's not me.
Well, I'm actually busy unplugging all my stuff, and it's not me.
I don't think it's, I can't see anything an issue this end. So we'll just have to carry on.
No.
Just make sure that is switched. Okay. And then yeah, but it is then we were straight back into Rose's life, aren't we? I mean, but when that comes first, doesn't it? And the day and the first time we see her with Mickey, clowning around on a lunch break. Around what was that? Is that Piccadilly Circus she's in? I think it is.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think it is Piccadilly.
That fountain, and so we got all that all wrapped up in the intro too, and then it's all the next day in the aftermath, and now you haven't got a bloody job.
Yeah, basically.
Yes. So it's like, okay, you had this encounter with the extraordinary. Now you got to go and fry chips.
Well,
you got to do something, my girl. You can't just sit around all day long, says Mum. And and it doesn't Camille just come straight in and nail Jackie Tyler right in her opening scenes too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think everybody nailed their parts straight off. It was just pleasure, such a pleasure to watch. It really was.
But then buzz, beep, 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 and who's that fussing outside the letterbox?
Yeah.
And you thought you had got away with it. You thought you were back in normality. Not when you step into the doctor's world. You're not. And then there's a quick negotiation where it's decided that no, there isn't a strange man in anyone's bedroom, and we get our first real look at the Ninth Doctor's character, and it's very clear in the dialogue in that living room scene that this is the Doctor's kind of literally just regenerated.
Yeah.
It's like new ear holes, pack of playing cards, can do that for the first time. It's just the things he's saying, suggests that he literally has just come straight out the TARDIS, straight out the Time War sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he's been in such a rush, he hasn't even had a chance to look at himself in the mirror. I think maybe that's kind of been stepped away from later in New Who continuity and stepped back from suggesting he was like literally fresh with regen energy. But to me, that is how this Doctor's introduced, and that's always how I'm going to think of him. Literally brand new but scarred, and that's another thing we're going to find out about how damaged he's been by whatever happened to him before he became.
John.
Yes.
John, I can't barely hear you, mate. It's definitely your mic that's cracking.
Okay.
I didn't hear any of that at all.
put me in the back room for a moment, Gobby. Have a chat with Golden Age Geek.
Yeah, I will do, mate. I'll just remove you for a moment. Well, there you go. And and then there was just two of us.
I would like to say, also jumping on with what John said, the Murray Gold music is just absolutely phenomenal. It really sets the scene. Every piece is unique, and it very much does throw you into what the scene is trying to say, whether it's a mysterious tone or an action piece. It really does just break the ground. It just encapsulates everything about Doctor Who. It's just absolutely amazing. And that's one criticism that I have with the new era, is that the music is just non-existent. And I think that's
background. Background at best. It's background at best. Murray Gold's music throughout all of the series he did is just I always think that music tells the story itself, and you can tell what's going to happen with the music. So music is very important, and I think Murray Gold always got it absolutely on the nail. You knew when there was a chase, you knew that when there was danger, you knew when it was going to be. It was brilliant. Right, hold on, I'm going to bring John back now and see if he's fixed his crackle. Let's have a go.
Right,
hello, John.
Hi, yeah, I completely looked it over and I plugged it into a different socket. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, we were just talking about Murray Gold's music.
I was able to keep listening, don't worry.
Yeah, and how brilliant. Let's be brutally honest, how brilliant his music is. I actually many times will sit and have Murray Gold's music for Doctor Who just playing around in the background, because it's just awesome music. Absolutely, I love every minute of it. It's just brilliant.
But the pacing of Rose, it doesn't allow itself to stop. And then as we say, we got the doctors turned up. He's suddenly scanning for arms, and that doesn't work out too well. But he stops it throttling him with a bit of a comedy around the coffee table and stuff. And then he's off chasing after the signal again, and then Rose is following him, starting to explain to who he is.
Yeah.
And then there's this wonderful feel the turn of the earth speech.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant. It's
that sense of this enormous connection to everything that the Doctor has.
Yeah.
That he knows more, that he feels more, that he connects to more, that he is more, that he's bigger than any one human being could be.
Yeah.
Because he's that extraordinary, and it's kind of giving you insight into that.
You get it straight away. You get that feeling that the kind of almost godlike person that the Doctor is, how in tune he is with literally everything. It's good.
No matter how cosmic the Doctor's coming across, he's like, Rose is not quite there yet, and she's not ready to believe him. She's not ready to trust him, and she's got an idea that he's actually quite dangerous. So she doesn't take that last step, and then she turns after hearing a strange noise, and that odd blue box is gone. So her chance to connect with the Doctor there and then has been broken.
Yeah,
but then we learn about her character then, that Rose isn't someone to just let that go, and then she's bringing in Mickey, beautifully portrayed, of course, by the incomparable Noel Clarke.
Absolutely.
And he's getting on the internet for her, and then there's Clive, the weirdo conspiracy man, and they drive on over to see it.
Conspiracy man.
And again, we get another window into the Doctor's life. In that we're learning from Clive's website, and we're seeing adventures that presumably, if the Doctor in the living room is brand new, actually haven't happened yet.
Yeah.
Where he's going to be at the eruption of Krakatoa, and he's going to be at the assassination of JFK, and they're letting you know some of the adventures the Ninth Doctor's got coming up in a timey-wimey way. So again, quite clever and quite satisfying for fans of the show that they can sort of pick up on that aspect to it too. But while Rose is finding out that Clive isn't an axe murderer, but is perhaps a bit obsessed, Mickey's having some trouble outside with a black bin. And I think
the famous black bin scene.
It was one of the earliest heavy CGI scenes that the New Who did.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was the first time they really dabbled into it.
I think they probably do it different today.
Oh yeah, it'd be a lot more subtle today.
I think it's a lot less comedic. I think, but it was definitely played for laughs. It wasn't played to scare you. It
was definitely for the giggle faggle. Faggle. I can't speak English today.
Then we understand that strangely plastic-looking Mickey might just not be the original.
Yes. There's a slight difference, isn't there? It doesn't look quite the same. Yeah. Awesome.
And of course, what's really happening is that the Nestine consciousness has identified that the Doctor is a threat. Of course. It's actually trying to use Rose to find the Doctor.
Yeah.
And that works out just fine when the Doctor turns up and knocks Auton Mickey's head off. And then they leg it, and Rose encounters the TARDIS for the first time. With her reaction is, why has that total loony just run inside that wooden hut?
Of course.
Instead of scaling that gate to get the hell out of here.
No, well, you would be.
And I said, what? And then she's chasing around it. And then she goes in, and what? And then she's back out again. And then we, the audience, encounter the new TARDIS for the first time. And our minds just fall open and just drop out of our skulls. We just go, ooh. You can even look inside it from outside it and see people moving around inside it and everything. I mean, this is way above what the show's ever managed before.
No, it was.
So a very strong message that this was a bold new era to existing fans.
Yeah.
To let them
God,
know
yeah.
this is where we're at now, where we can realise the TARDIS in ways that you've never seen before. And series 1 indeed did have such sights to show us.
Oh, it did indeed.
Leading up to Daleks being done correctly, but we'll get there in full time.
We will do. We will do.
Yeah, I mean, that takes us into the final act of the confrontation of looking for the giant dish thing. And, oh my God, look at that! It's a giant Ferris wheel.
Well, of course, it has to be the London Eye. We have to squeeze that in. We have to get that on the old. We have to get that on the screen.
We've got the Doctor biting off more than he can chew. The Doctor's going to die.
Yes, wonderful.
The Autons are going to kill him.
Yes.
They don't trust him. His plans failed. But in comes Rose with her athletics achievement certificate.
Of course.
And a very hearty rope swing, and to save the day. And the Nestines are finished. The Autons collapse. Planet Earth is saved once more. And it's all home for tea. Only is it? Because who's going home and who's travelling in the TARDIS? And have I mentioned it also travels in time?
Yes.
And we get this brilliant, beaming-faced finishing shot to wrap the episode up.
Yeah.
And Doctor Who is back, baby.
Oh, my God. And isn't it back? Oh, it was just... Oh, it was...
Emotionally, it was wonderful.
I mean, your first one comes back, it gets, I think it was it 10.81 million viewers, which is quite impressive for something that had been on for a long time. So
I hadn't felt this happy about being a Doctor Who fan since Caves of Androzani Part 4. For 21 years at that point.
21 years. I couldn't get my breath. So, Golden Age Geek, what did you think after you'd seen it from your point of view? Because it'd be interesting to hear it from a different sort of viewpoint, us old, grizzled people that we are.
Well, of course, throughout the episode, you see things that open your eyes and go, wow, this is, this sci-fi property is something special. But then at the end, when he says it also travels in time, that just open your eyes to so much possibilities. Where are they going to go? What time periods? This sort of thing. So, and one thing that the episode does really well is, unlike Classic Who, the companions in the modern series, for this era especially, is you very much feel as if you are the companions. When Rose at the end jumps into the TARDIS and is going on this adventure, that is very much us, desperate to jump back into the TARDIS after basically being away so long.
Amen.
Absolutely. And that is Russell T. Davis's special sauce, that is.
Yeah, but that's what the companion.
That's exactly why this merging of the soap opera with the science fiction was so fresh.
It was,
because it was actively looking to play off the mundane against the fantastic.
Yeah,
and to make these two worlds collide, and to smash these two genres together to create a fusion which was so much more watchable. And I absolutely agree. That. I can't think really, with maybe the exception perhaps of Sarah Jane, was there any classic companion that was as immediately relatable as Rose?
I agree.
I mean, you could say that Ace in some ways was a test run for Rose.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
You make an argument for that, but Andrew Cartmel was trying to expand the definition of a companion. So Ace definitely was a step on the road to Rose.
Yeah.
But other companions have had to make do with their sheer charisma shining through the script.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is why perhaps it was companions like Romana One's entrance.
Yeah.
Or as we said, Ace, or Sarah Jane, when Liz Sladen, her first story of a Time Warrior, I think that very few of the classic companions really had the chance to have that impact on the audience, excepting the ones who were really extra talented actors that could shine through what they've been given, no matter how many times it asked them to scream. And, you know, that's the other thing about Rose, that it's very obvious that screaming is not her first resort.
No.
To any situation.
Not. To any, no, not whatsoever, none whatsoever. So, well, we have been joined by Time Prophet, so this is where the fun will begin.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know,
this should be fun. This should be fun because he really don't like you.
He really doesn't like you, but that's all right. He's allowed to really not like you.
Of course he is. Of course.
And then, you know, I remember into next time. And, you know, we've off to his fantastic start. I mean, Eccleston has already won, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's just Eccleston it isn't just I nailed the Doctor in my first episode. He nailed my Doctor. He nailed his Doctor in his first freaking scene.
Yeah.
You know? So the show is absolutely profiting from having a really top class a main actor, and I went to bed that night really happy that, you know, we were going to get some really exciting new years of Doctor Who out of this guy.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I saw Christopher Eccleston, the way he nailed his Doctor was, to me, the very much same way that Tom Baker nailed it when he first came on the screen.
But then, as Sadako has just said, I was shocked when only a week later it was announced he quit already. Actually, it wasn't a week later. I remember it was the next day.
Yeah, it was a bit of a like, oh, okay.
It was in the headlines about Sunday. Eccleston quit.
Yeah.
So it was like, what the heck? He's here now. He's gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wasn't happy about that. Definitely, I went, what? You know, and that did impact how I allowed myself to relate to his Doctor for the rest of his run, because I wasn't going to allow myself to like his Doctor too much, knowing. Yeah, and that maybe, you know, I thought to myself, I won't overinvest, and maybe it will come through the rewatches later, which of course is what did happen.
Yeah,
but it was unfortunate.
Weird.
It impacted my enjoyment. It
was weird. I mean,
and to be fair, it was going to take a few weeks for New Who to really prove that it was going to be a resounding success. Because although the ratings stayed strong, the story quality in the first recording block, I mean, now we know as fans that the first recording block was an absolute hell nightmare from Nightmare Hell.
Yeah, it didn't go well at all, did it?
And you know, we've heard all sorts of stories over the years of what may or may not have gone on set, and why Chris Eccleston may or may not have quit, and different versions of the same. It ultimately doesn't matter too much. And ultimately, it was better that he quit immediately.
Yeah.
Than soldier on to do a second year. So that was the right thing. And fortunately, the quality of the stories in Series 1 was what was going to win the day, because ultimately the scripts gave the actors what they needed to make the series a success.
Oh, God.
And, you know, once we heard it was going to be Tennant, I had just seen Casanova, so I knew he was going to be good. I knew he was a damn good actor. And then I also saw the costume reveal with the pinstripe suit, the sneakers, and the long coat. I thought that's a very nice look. I thought that was really interesting. So I was reassured, you know, within a few weeks. But it was a shock, a bit of a jar, straight away to find out that this wasn't going to be a bold new era of several years of Doctor Who. There was no chance that Christopher Eccleston was going to be beating Tom Baker's record. Because he'd already gone. You know, he'd already decided he wouldn't be doing it again before any of us even got to see him do it the first time round. What a shame other less intelligent actors weren't able to follow his example.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, no, that's talking negative. I can't do that.
No negativity. No negativity.
I didn't do that.
That is banned on this channel.
But God, if she could have taken a hint. Anyway.
Just a little one, yeah.
I would also like to make it clear at this point that we are going to be talking about New Who, and we're going to be talking about New Who in context of why we love Doctor Who up until the end of Capaldi's era. So we're going to be doing series 1 to 10. It's a plan.
Yeah, that's
but we're planning a different set of streams where we will be looking at the Chibnall era.
Yes,
that's all we'll say for now, because we've got a way of doing it, but we don't think anyone else has done it yet, so we're not going to spoil it by telling you anything else.
No, it's
but they will come up. The streams are planned. Right, back to where we better push on. What happened next? We went straight to the end of the world.
It's the end of the world.
Now, tell me about this episode, GoldenAgedgeek. It's the end of the world. It's part 2. It's the first step into the future. How did you find it?
Well, obviously, we've just gone from an Earth setting to something that's very familiar to this big space station. So immediately, I'm thinking this is very much different, but it's very much the same because we're following these characters that we've already connected with because of how well they were portrayed in the first episode. And then we see the wider universe is immediately introduced to us because we see all these different alien species. So it very does make the universe feel lived in. It doesn't feel as if we're having to wait for the writing to tell us that this universe is very much alive. We very much see it with all these different aliens, and with how well the cast are, you immediately feel connected to these characters and that you really do feel something for them.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. It does flesh the universe out quite spectacularly. Absolutely.
Well, I'm just going to bring in Sadako here. I'll be honest, through my end of the world left me feeling a bit hollow and a bit malnourished. It's an interesting comment, I find, because the one thing about this story was it was very expensive.
Yeah.
From the production side, it was a disaster in terms of budget overrun.
Yep.
And things like making the face of Bo, which just ended up insane, and the difficulties of doing a sort of Star Wars Cantina style approach to aliens. So there are so many lessons being learned during all the stories in this first production block. So I think there is a certain flatness to End of the World. It's very straightforward and matter of fact, and it does give you a sense that this is a knackered universe. That a lot of time has passed, and I agree. It does that really well, and I think characters like Face of Bo bringing in this sense of vast timelessness, or Lady Cassandra, who is so far from what a human being was. But it's like a joke to realise that things have gone so far that people forgot what a human even was.
Yeah.
And just that sense of actually that's my home and it is going to get burned to a crisp and the Doctor's not going to be stopping it happening.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's
in terms of the resonances and the tone it sets in the audience. I've just never found it particularly peppy.
No.
To watch through the story, it's got a more it's got an averageness about it, which is ironic because it was trying to be extraordinary. But sometimes when you try too hard, it's even more out of reach. And I think this is one of those productions where the elements were there, but just getting it to really click didn't quite happen.
It's a shame.
It's a great story. I mean, we're knocking this story, and I mean, we didn't give marks. Damn it! I mean, obviously, Rose is an A plus.
Yeah, Rose is
for me anyway. I'm not gonna, even if I want to find faults with Rose, I ain't gonna mark it down for it because it's a legendary episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give it an A.
I mean, I take it you're on board with that, GoldenAgedgeek. Rose is an A.
Yeah, it's very much the perfect introduction to New Who.
So we're on safe ground there. But let's talk about a score for the End of the World.
Go on then, GoldenAgedgeek. You give us your score first. Be interesting.
I would say around a high 6, low 7. It's better than average, but I wouldn't say it's too groundbreaking.
A low 7 is that, if we worked it out, would that kind of be a B minus?
Yeah, because we're old school. We go A to E.
We had letters, not numbers. But I mean, it's like if a 10 was A plus, 9 A minus, 8 B plus, 7 B minus. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Where you sort of, yeah. So yeah, I kind of think I kind of agree with that, but I might go for C plus.
Yeah,
Look at that! My brain is on exactly the same wavelength as Disaster Area.
Yeah, I'd give this one myself a C plus. It's something. It's one of those episodes that could have been.
It's certainly watchable.
Could have been. It's watchable. It's enjoyable to sit and watch, but it just doesn't quite get there. Which is a shame, really.
If I wanted to really hit the high points of Series 1, this wouldn't be the one I'd reach for.
No, I absolutely agree.
But it's not the lowest point either.
No.
So a good try and definitely a good foray into the future, and most importantly, the Doctor cracks.
Yes.
And he admits he's alone.
Yeah.
And where we've been invited as the audience to consider the destruction of our entire planet and the fact that all of this will be gone one day.
Yeah.
We also learned that for the Doctor, it's gone already.
Yeah, there is
but
nothing.
At least there's chips.
Well, yes, there's chips.
And a trip to the past.
Yes, we're off again.
Because now it's spin the dial for a remarkably Christmassy episode that wasn't at Christmas.
Absolutely.
But they're climbing out of coffins. It's the Unquiet Dead.
Yeah, back to Cardiff in 1869. Yeah. There you go.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And just why not visit Cardiff? Because as explained, there is a time rift there. Yes. Which certainly was helpful for location scouts.
Very convenient. Very convenient.
I'm going to throw this to GoldenAgedgeek as well at first. I just really want to know how you find this. Your first Doctor Who story set in the past.
Well, I'm a massive fan for any sort of historical setting, whatever show that may be. This was a fairly interesting one. I think what this episode, but also the last one that we discussed, does very well is the subtlety of it, because you have the Doctor who is this very broken character, well, especially the Ninth Doctor, and the way that the effects of the Time War are portrayed, it isn't done in an exposition-heavy way where the writing is telling you there was a war, this is bad. You see moments where, Rose will just say to the Doctor, "Are you okay?" And you just see the sadness in his eyes because he's reflecting on all the pain that he's encountered. And this one, especially when he's brought to some of the victims of the Time War, again, it's very much that darkness. He is very much a reflective Doctor because he has to consider his own evils, and we see that later on in the season as well.
Well, it's very much RTD layering his onion, isn't it? But this is another layer. But this danger, this whole situation, only exists because there was a Time War.
Yeah.
So it's giving you an idea of the depth of the consequences of how things have been altered and changed because of this apocalyptic, cataclysmic, legendary battle. But we
know nothing about it.
But one thing we do know is that the Doctor's the only survivor of his own people.
Yeah.
So for us older fans to know that at this point Gallifrey's gone, I mean, it wasn't exactly our comfort zone, was it, Gobby?
No,
we were having to roll with this, and I think a lot of existing fans were pretty nervous about this direction to start with, for definite. But I mean, obviously, the results of how the audience engaged vindicated the choice. I don't think we could argue that it was the wrong decision now.
No,
but the elements, and I also, Simon Callow.
Yeah,
fantastic.
What an actor!
If you want someone to bring a historical character to life, I can't think of anyone who could do better than Callow does with Dickens in this story.
No, no.
You believe it's Dickens?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's no question that it's Dickens. Whereas perhaps with other portrayals like Winston Churchill in season 5, it's a bit more questionable. And Churchill being a quite controversial figure as well, I suppose, in modern times, it hasn't helped that. But this was such a good historical character for the Doctor to meet, and then his adoration, his fandom for Dickens was just joyous.
Oh
you know,
God, yeah.
and the production values of all the stuff with the snow and everything else, it looked like only the BBC could make this stuff look. And the theatre scenes were great, added great drama, and the gilf were creepy as heck. And
God,
oh
yeah.
no, trust me, oh no, look, we're bad, really. Oh gosh, what a shocker! Great for the kids, that one. And you know, just really enjoyable stuff. And I think someone commented just a little bit above that this was when they really felt New Who had arrived. I
Yeah.
kind of agree with that, because I think these first three stories are really kind of, they're Rose's first encounter with the Doctor, aren't they? You know,
Yeah.
so it gives you, it's actually, ironically, it's quite Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
The
For all
present,
intents
the
and
past,
purposes,
the
yeah.
present, the future, and the past.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
wrap it up in a bow, and then back to Mum next week is the plan. But let's finish up this story. First appearance of Eve Miles, yes, and you know, she caught people's attention for the right reasons. It was
Yep.
to lead to her being cast as Gwen Cooper. If another actress had made a rather more mundane job of that part, it wouldn't have led to being Gwen Cooper.
No.
So she definitely deserves credit for her performance there. It's just worked really well. And Mark Gatiss
First one,
bringing a strong performance to a strong script, the first non-RTD script.
Yeah, and
it's a win all around. I think it's a B+.
Yeah, interesting. What do you think, Golden Age? What's your
I would agree with that. It's still sort of the early stages of New Who, but it does sort of create those solid foundations.
It's a solid, well-crafted, entertaining, engaging story which you could pick up and watch, and anyone can enjoy. It's definitely a worthy episode.
Oh, absolutely. I think I'd give it a solid B. A solid B. Interesting to just sort of expand on the Doctor as he is. For people who, like myself, suffer from PTSD, those signs were very obvious in the Doctor's performance. Yes. You can see that he's definitely suffering from PTSD because of the way you drift off and all these sort of things. So I was quite invested in this Doctor because I could see similarities in him as I could in me, where I understand the drifting off and the pain you get by seeing things that remind you of times that you would prefer to never remember again. So I absolutely love this. Is why I love Christopher Eccleston's Doctor, because it resonates well with me. So
see, I just want to say, as someone who knows something about PTSD, I know just how much it takes for somebody who's experienced PTSD to speak out about PTSD. Yep. So bloody well said, Gobby.
Well, the thing is, I'm a big proponent of that. Is and it is hard because a lot of people, because it is a disability no one sees, but we need to mention that there are a lot of people who do suffer from it, and you unless you know what you're looking for, 9 times out of 10 you won't even notice. But this did well in showing that this Doctor, this alien, is clearly suffering from that, and it was it did resonate really, really well with me.
Yes,
just thought I'd throw that in there.
Well, Eccleston delivered. I mean, I can't think of a scene in his run where I could say, "Well, that was under par."
No, he played it well. He played it really,
absolutely. Really well. But the scripts themselves did take a little bit of a dip when we hit back to London with aliens in London.
Oh dear!
And I first go at a 2-parter in the new era, so it's follow-up as well, which was World War, wasn't it? World War
III. Yeah,
World War III. Yes, World War III. Yeah. So we're dealing with a 2-parter, and look, it's fun, it's enjoyable. I literally saw kids at the bus stop unzipping their heads in the days afterwards. So that idea absolutely hit.
That resonated.
But the farting was a bit
childish. Didn't think that was no. No.
Yeah,
Mm.
it wasn't the
Ignited.
right tone because
No.
I would say this was written for the wrong age group. This was written for 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
Certainly, this episode.
Mm.
There isn't that teenage intelligence
No.
in it, which is odd, really. Because you'd think there would be with an RTD script, and it's got a great opener with a spaceship smacking into Big Ben, which is a very impressive effect shot, which
Oh, great shot. Great
they've
shot.
shown time and time again to actually showcase the special effects revival. They've shown that shot of Big Ben getting hit.
Yeah.
So it definitely was trying to bring things to the table. But I just don't quite know what happened here. The writing was off. It didn't get it. It didn't hit the right tone
No.
first time around. Definitely a lessons learned kind of story. As
Yeah.
much as it did give us memorable stuff. Back to GoldenAgedgeek. What did you make? What did you make of it? Did
Well,
you
I'm
find
gonna.
it childish when you saw it? Did you find it a bit of a step down from the previous scripts, or were you just perfectly happy with it going along with it?
Well, it's definitely got a different tone to the last few episodes that we'd seen, and I don't know whether it's just because this is still one of my first episodes that I ever saw that I've got loads of nostalgia for it, and therefore I'm looking at it better than it actually is. I wouldn't say objectively it's one of the best episodes, but it does have that fun element to it that does just connect with me too much, and maybe maybe that's wrong for me to just look at through that lens. But again, I think it's just that nostalgia. However, there are loads of things about this episode that I still do like and do think were very well written into the story, like when the aliens land on Earth, we see loads of people's different reactions. That RTD has always done this thing in his stories where you'll see the characters turn on the news, and that's how we get to see the reaction to alien events.
That worked really well. That
worked
part
really
did
well.
work really well. The way
Well, that's what we all do.
the
That's what we all
media
do.
was being used to draw you into the story, and the Doctor didn't know any more than anybody else at first either.
No, I thought it was good.
He didn't just go, "Oh, I know what that spaceship is." He didn't know either, and that was a good draw in to pull you into the story. That was good. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
On the whole, I mean, part 2 had stuff to say. One of the few examples of the show being critical of a left-wing government.
Just a bit.
I think you had to go back to the Sunmakers for a dig at Labour's tax policies.
Oh, God,
but this was very clear. Don't lie to the heck out of us to get us into wars.
Yep.
And so that was aimed at the government of the day, which was Tony Blair and Gordon Brown.
Of course.
So that was unusual, but also a great line and really quite funny because we all went, "Yeah, that's so bloody true."
Yeah, it's so true.
And so there was that part to it. And also political, of course, was introducing Harriet Jones, MP for Flydale North.
MP, yes. Harriet Jones, MP.
For Flydale North. Yes, we know who you are.
Yes, we know who you are.
Who had a chance to shine in this story and was the show being really positive about politician.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. And of course, that didn't last.
No.
And Harriet's destiny was to be the character's destiny was to be tinged with tragedy and also sacrifice. But this was a great first introduction, and she was a very effective character of helping the business along, of getting the story rocking along. And it all came to a fun enough conclusion with Mickey tapping his keyboard, redirecting cruise missiles. You can do that. Remarkable computer skills, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean the ability to hack a cruise missile.
Having that military software just happened to be on his PC.
We all
was
got
lucky.
Around.
Was lucky, So that bit was a bit nonsense, but enjoyable nonsense. But on the whole, putting it as one story, but I just don't think I'm going to try and put the two halves separately. I think I'm just going to say C-.
So we're
but if it wasn't for Eccleston especially being so damn watchable, it could easily have been a D.
Yeah, so we're combining the two stories together. Yeah.
I think I just have, but you don't have to if you don't want
Yeah.
to.
No. I mean.
I think perhaps part 1 is C-, part 2 is C+, but the two together still ends up as C- somehow. It doesn't quite. It isn't quite greater than some of its parts.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I'll give the first part. C-. World War III bit, maybe a C. So I'm gonna sort of give it a C overall for both those parts.
And did you feel the same, GoldenAgedgeek?
I'm gonna just come out and say I think I just love this one. I don't know why. I'm gonna just say A. I'm gonna just come out and
That's
say
what
A.
we want. That's what we want.
That's
You
great.
know?
One thing that
we're not a nodding dog panel here.
One thing that we didn't discuss that I'd like to ask you two, because of course you'd seen the classic series before this, is that this story was the first to reintroduce Unit into the series. So how did you feel about how they were introduced?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I like Unit, obviously. Ex-military will like Unit, always will like Unit. They modernised.
It wasn't really very Unity though.
No,
I mean, they're a bit more of a window dressing than a proper feature. I mean, there was like one guy from Unit at the cabinet room, wasn't there?
Yeah.
But were they Unit troops or just troops that were milling around?
No, they were Unit.
They were Unit troops. Yeah, I don't think it really pulled off the Unit feel as well as Christmas Invasion would a few stories later.
I mean, let's be honest. They modernised Unit. Black uniforms. G38 rifles. Modernised it, but I mean, I like Unit, but they were very underpaid and underplayed in this. And yeah, it was okay, but
you didn't really have the sense that Unit had agency in this. As I say, it was more like they were window dressing, but it was
there. They were
a
there.
touch of fan service, really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
more
it was
integral to the story, because to me, a Unit story has to have Unit driving the plot.
Yeah,
which they weren't really doing in this. So nothing like and Santana Stratcham later on in season 4, infinitely better Unit story.
Yeah. So,
but it was welcome nonetheless. It was welcome nonetheless.
So, what do you think of the answer? How do you think we thought? What do you think, GoldenAgedgeek? How we thought about Unit?
Yeah, there are certainly different stories that do have the more of a focus. So I'm sure when we get to them, they'll have a bit more agency in those stories.
Yeah,
but
yeah, they were just there, weren't they?
It's the story that followed that lit everything up like a fire.
Boom! Absolutely, this was what an episode! What an
first production block. All is forgiven.
Yep, absolutely.
As we are plunged into the Metaltron nightmare of Dalek.
Oh, I love this episode. Because it's Daleks. I love this one. Daleks treated properly. They were. It was very clever. So well written. Love this one.
I mean, before going into the story anymore, that is overwhelmingly the feeling, wasn't it? You asked us how we felt as classic fans. When we saw this, it was Daleks not properly. Excuse me.
You all right, John?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just slightly wrong way with a cup of tea.
Oh well, don't do that.
No. But I mean, it was just the sheer quality of the Dalek. But what I loved even more than the Dalek was right from the start of the episode was the Cyberman head.
The Cyberman head. Oh, I'll tell you what.
That I knew this episode was going to be special right from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, you could see it was going to be one of those episodes.
Because that head just told me this is a story which is going to really dive into what makes the show tick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, of course, we knew from the title what it was going to be about.
Well, yeah, but
the introduction, we're in the base of a under siege scenario, which is perfect because there's no way out.
No way out.
Yeah, no way out and lots of big doors.
Always big doors.
And you know, we start to get into the situation with the Doctor and Rose land in the museum and very swiftly get themselves taken captive, and we start to hear that this man likes aliens and he's got one in the basement.
Well, of course, conveniently. Not the right one though.
I mean, again, I want to ask GoldenAgedgeek, did you know anything about Daleks before this story?
Well, Daleks are incredibly iconic just on their
They
own.
are, aren't
So
they? So, yeah.
I'd seen plenty of merchandise about surrounding them, so I knew that they were a big deal. And I think that Series 1, like with this episode especially, the connective tissue is just very well utilized. If you look back at Rose and you see him looking at himself in the mirror, at this point, someone like me had not watched Doctor Who before, didn't know about regeneration, but it really does pay off to those viewers who had seen Classic Who. So with the Cyberman helmet at the start of this episode, it doesn't tell you to your face that this is also a big enemy of the Doctor, but those people who do know knowledge and do know the lore will fully understand that. So I think that's utilized very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah.
Well, that's a very good point, because if you don't know what a Cyberman is, the Cyberman helmet doesn't mean anything.
Nope.
It's for letting us know, as an older fan, it was letting us know that here's a major foe coming back, and it's also letting us know this isn't the only major foe that will come back. You know, because it was a teaser to say Cybermen exist.
Yeah, they're still there. Yeah,
you know. I would like them to look a bit more like the Revenge Cybermen when they come back, but hey, that's another matter, because I just love the Invasion Revenge kind of head. Which of course we've gone back to now, haven't we?
Yeah.
With more latest interpretations, much more like that.
Yeah, it is.
But that's an aside. So, you know, we're getting our first look at this Dalek, this Metaltron. And we realise, you know, that you can't break a Dalek psychologically.
No.
How long's he had this thing? 20 odd years, isn't it?
20 odd years, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been trying to pod and poke it, and he's got exactly freaking zip.
No, you get nothing, not a thing out of it.
But then again, the immediate reaction to the Doctor.
Oh, you can see he's slightly miffed at it.
But at the same time, Van Stratton's greed is overwhelming him. You know, and he has to find out. He has to put the situation, put them two together. He has to trigger it all off. And then he thinks it's brilliant what he's getting, but he doesn't realise that he's just given the Dalek an incentive to give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah, remotivated it in a spectacular way. Yeah.
And but of course it is the compassion of Rose. With this chap she hooks up with, what's his name? Stuart, isn't it?
What
is that the character's name? Adam. Sorry, yes, you're right. Yeah, Adam. Yes, character's name Adam.
Yeah.
So Adam, the exploiter, has been trying to work out bits of alien junk for Van Stratton, but because Rose is dead hot, he agrees to take her down to the most secure area and show her the most secure thing, because she would.
Because she would, yeah.
Well, who wouldn't, you know? And then the compassion of Rose Tyler sets off the whole sequence of events, because she only has to go and bloody touch it.
Oh no! What have you done?
And we can see something's going on as that Artron energy cracks off, and before you know it, the Dalek's regenerating.
Yes, and it will kill you all.
Breaks its chains, suckers and scientists to death. Just because he says, what you're going to do then, sucking me to death. Yes, actually, that's exactly
what I'm going to do.
It's exactly what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm going to show that my sucker is more sensitive than a zillion fingers and use it to crack hyper complicated encryption codes in no time flat.
Oh, easy, no problem.
Because I'm angry now.
Yes. I'm angry. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely.
And just banged into this power supply. You juice up that Dalekanian regeneration. Close up that casing, baby. Let's dream gold again. And let's take out the humans.
He does wipe a few of them out, doesn't he? To be fair,
yeah,
just a few.
This Dalek doesn't miss.
No, this one hits quite effectively.
This Dalek can spin round in the middle, baby, right round like a record, baby. Sap, sap, sap.
It doesn't miss.
Now, we also find out it knows how to get the best out of a fire sprinkler system.
Of course.
So it's showing it's not just lethal, it's deadly, intelligent, and sadistic.
Oh, absolutely. Massively sadistic.
So the threat level has just gone up through the freaking roof. Van Staten hasn't got a clue.
No.
The Doctor is in full-on war mode. He's just going out. All he can think of is this Dalek has got to die.
Yep.
And that it's an offence to the universe that the damn thing's still living. And his terror that one of them has escaped the war. All of this playing out in how the Doctor, the extremity of his reaction, but this isn't just the Doctor, won't pick up a gun. This is the Doctor priming a missile launcher.
Yep.
As to where the story gets to. Yep. And it's just action, learning more and more that there is nothing the humans can do to stop this Dalek.
No. We just don't have to
to the point where we come to this grand emotional conclusion.
Yeah.
Where the Doctor is forced to realise that Dalek doesn't know what to do with having survived.
Yep.
It doesn't know why it exists anymore. And that sense of helplessness, that hopelessness, breaks the Doctor's heart.
Yep.
And he feels that because he knows how that feels.
Yep.
And that connection then between the Doctor and the Dalek, the recognition of foes and equals and adversaries. Dramatically, the layers and layers of this story are just incredible. It's a wonderful piece of writing.
Fantastic. The ending is just it's stunning.
Surprising, but I was just going to say surprising we didn't get more from Robert Shield.
Shame,
that is a surprise. But back to you, mate. What were you saying, GoldenAgedgeek?
And if you are going to reintroduce the Daleks and show how threatening they are and how much power they possess, then what you do is you don't bring back a whole bunch of them like this episode proved. What you do is you bring back one and show how much power just one on their own has, so that when you do bring in more, you understand the threat.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
absolutely.
It's building their credibility from the basement up. It's not relying on any nostalgia to carry the Daleks across. It's not relying on telling you the Daleks are bad. It's showing you what a Dalek is.
What in a way,
but you can't avoid seeing, even if you want to tear your eyes away from the screen.
Yeah, it is.
And then, of course, the way the Dalek itself is realised as its casing pops open and you see it, you see it there with its little tentacles. It's just really well done. It totally allows you to understand that this is not a robot. This is a tank for this creature that lives inside it.
Yeah.
But the Daleks are at their core organic.
Yeah.
And just heap loads more praise on it. A plus.
Yeah. Maximum score. A plus.
Just an impossibly good episode of Doctor Who.
It's as we've said before, it's one of those episodes. If anyone says, if I want to watch Doctor Who and I want to learn straight away, can you show me a few episodes? This is one of them. This is one of those excellent, pure, brilliant episode of Doctor Who. Well, that's in my humble opinion, in any case.
Well, I mean, I'm taking it with all of a mind that this is an A. Are there any contrary opinions out there? Does anybody not really rate Dalek that much? Time Prophet is coming with a B.
Wow, there's a
Sadako with a B.
there
So,
you go.
either of you guys, Sadako, Time Prophet, could you just say what it is that knocks it down from an A? Or just because I'm curious, what is it that doesn't quite get there for you?
And while we're waiting for that, Golden Age Geek, what do you give it?
Yeah, definitely top tier. The highest grade you could possibly give it.
Well, there you go. But it will be interesting to see why Time Prophet and Sadako have dropped it down.
Well, if they go for it, you know, I can't make them engage in the chat.
No, of course not. Oh yeah,
the Dalek is too powerful.
The Dalek is too powerful. Oh, okay,
that's a fair argument.
Fair point.
Classic Daleks were not as hard to take out.
No, I mean,
it was in some ways far too easy to take out, but that's another matter.
Yeah, there we go. That's exactly what he said.
But yeah, I mean, we won't argue that the power level of the Dalek was really ramped up.
Oh, it was.
I just don't think that is in any way a bad thing.
Well, no, because
too powerful. I mean, if a Dalek could use its mind to make everyone just die, that would be way too powerful, you know. But
yeah, that's a little bit.
I mean, it's still got to trundle up to you and have a line of sight to shoot you.
Yep,
it's absolutely not overpowerful, other than its technology is way more than modern humans can handle.
Well, we got a B plus. There you go.
So B plus for New Who, but A for Ninth Doctor stories. I mean, is that kind of another echo of my own comment? You know, that Eccleston's performance just lifts this material, and it is just pulling these stories up to a higher grade than they might have had with somebody else in the part. I mean, definitely.
There you go. Sadako's answers your question, mate. I think it has a great first time impact. I wanted it again. Yeah, he's right. You know, perhaps he just didn't quite get up there, but that's fine.
No, in fact, it's absolutely. I mean, how we look at things changes over time. You know?
Well,
I mean,
how many times we said that during these streams that what we thought was bad when we first watched it, now we've rewatched it, we can see it in a different light and how it's changed our opinion on that particular episode.
I think one thing I would say is when I was preparing for this stream and sort of looking at Series 1, I think the scores I would have given Series 1 episodes 5 years ago haven't changed.
Yeah.
And I don't think looking at Series 1 now has changed anything about those. I think my opinions are very well settled on how I feel about Series 1.
Yeah.
Later on, I think there is definitely some more ambiguity, especially in the Moffat era. But how I feel about the RTD stories is pretty much how it's been since they went out. And I haven't really found much scope to revise my view on the stories. But with Dalek, it was just a massive hit at the time. It's a massive hit today. Okay. Also, why would time energy power a Dalek? Because it was a Dalek adapted to fight in the Time War.
Yeah, there you go.
Where the Daleks adapted technology like the use of Artron energy to power themselves. So I didn't have a problem with that. This was a Dalek which benefited from Time War technology. This was a Time War Dalek. We hadn't seen one of these before.
No.
It's not an Imperial Dalek. It's not a Renegade Dalek. It's not a standard Dalek. And it's quite a step up from what a Dalek was in the early days on Skaro. I took it as that. But, I mean, it's a very good point. Why would time energy power a Dalek? It's a very good question. But I feel that I don't really have a problem seeing that working within the story.
No.
And on the second viewing, a bit less impressed with the Doctor's strategy. The Doctor doesn't have a strategy. The Doctor has a reaction.
Yeah, he's reacting on this one. There is no strategy. This is This is primal.
I mean, if anyone's strategic or at least trying to be a little bit clever, it's Rose.
Yeah,
because at least she's trying to get somewhere by talking to it.
Yeah, the Doctor in this one is just overwhelmed with rage.
He's just overwhelmed. Hatred. Absolutely, it's the trauma is coursing through his veins.
Yeah. It's very reflective of some people when they suffer from PTSD that the rage can get literally like that. That they can only think of one thing.
How far might the Doctor have gone if Rose had not been there?
Exactly. Because
I mean, at first, the Doctor doesn't act directly against the Dalek because he's concerned with trying to rescue Rose. He's trying to get her to escape from the bulkheads. He's urging her to run. He's not thinking about fighting back on the Dalek. But if he wasn't thinking about keeping Rose alive, and if he wasn't thinking about how he looked to Rose's eyes, how far might he have gone?
Yeah, and that shows you
a
how
terrifying question.
Yeah, but it shows you how damaged the Doctor was. It shows you how fragile he was after the Time War, and how, you know, this particular Doctor's suffering terribly, actually, and it's very well shown. Very well shown indeed.
Another one from Time Prophet. The end of Dalek copy of the Sylvester McCoy story. I think this is referring to the Black Dalek suiciding itself at the end of Remembrance of the Daleks, which, yes, I was not that impressed with myself. I criticised it last week.
Yeah,
I think the difference here is this Dalek is given the necessary character development.
Yeah.
To allow you to believe that it really feels there's no point to go on.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, the Black Dalek was just acting out of character.
Well, that was just
the Doctor's right in front of his gun.
Yeah.
Shoot. Commit suicide afterwards.
Yes. And then
I mean, yeah. Medal of Scarrow Crispy Burn Edition Award, you know? I mean, anyway.
I don't know. Anyway.
I think we need to move along because it's a long game, this doing Doctor Who live stream.
Yeah. Look at him work that one in so well. So well. That's a long game.
No. That was a sneaky one.
That was a sneaky one.
So we're carrying on, and Adam's still tagging along, and we go back to the future. And in a move echoing the production frugality that gave us the Ark of Space back in Classic Series 12, this is the first time we're going to be visiting the same place twice.
Yes.
So we are here at Satellite 5, I believe. Isn't it, in this
Space
one?
Station Satellite 5.
Yes.
Great name.
And this is the height of the great and bountiful human empire.
Yeah.
Oh dear, the long game. Yeah, we'll come in there. So I mean, it's a connecting tissue story because when you know the plan for the season and the Bad Wolf arc, you can see that Long Game has got work to do.
Yeah,
it's got business to do.
Yeah,
to provide what will be the connective tissue to the ultimate season finale, and it's got a decent guest turn from Simon Pegg. It is Simon Pegg, isn't it? I get him confused with the other one.
I think so.
I think it is Simon Pegg. Yeah,
it's Simon Pegg.
Yeah, it is Simon Pegg. Yeah.
Can I even tempt it? No, I could get it fine for Holy Jagrafess. But I think I'll pass on the rest of that line. How did he learn that? And
I have no idea.
But you know, it's a story where we discover that something's gone wrong with time.
Yeah.
And that there's something that's gone wrong with time is someone's installed an alien, a giant alien monstrosity to dominate and control the media of planet Earth. Is the RTE trying to tell us something about the press? And then you've got this very cynical controller and these zombified workers, which reminiscent of Ice World. And well, it is, isn't it? Icy space stations and zombified workers. So it's all okay, but nothing exceptional. While you've then got the Adam subplot, and Adam is a twat.
Just a slight one. Yeah, just a slight one.
He is. You know, I mean, I just left that with a pause after it. Just let it sink in.
Yeah, that's the sinking.
Adric was annoying. Ying Li was extremely irritating. But just like Adam is just twat.
It just, you
know, it's just like, what are you doing, you prize banana? It's not that we know. It's not that we know. Not just that we know what the Doctor expects of his companions, so we know that Adam is going to misbehave and the Doctor's not going to want anything to do with it. It's not just that. It's just what a prat.
Yeah, he's no. What are you doing?
So you're only left feeling like that prat got like what he deserved.
Oh, gotcha. Completely.
So what was the purpose of that character? Was it to show the Doctor just doesn't take just anybody, or not anyone can handle it?
I don't know. I mean, it's always been a bit confusing that. As somebody
was
said,
it was it to kind of suggest the beginnings of a kind of attraction between Rose and the Doctor, in that Rose discovers that ordinary boys just can't measure up?
Possibly.
And that even Adam would seem like a really smart guy compared to Mickey. So she thought maybe if he was smarter, but actually, no. Well, what has Adam got to do with Adric? Just because they're both annoying characters?
Well, because that's
not good characters in the opinion of quite a lot of people, although some people apparently do actually like Adric, and we should respect that.
Well, yes, we should, but they do need to have a quiet chat to themselves. Right, in my humble opinion, don't start the hatred on that now. Oh God, can't do with another Twitter assault.
Look, to sum up this whole business, it's so average, but it's not as juvenile as Aliens in London. So no. I'm thinking a C. It's a good episode to watch for that interconnecting tissue, but you don't miss anything if you don't see it, because it's the only bit of the story that actually matters is recapped very effectively at the start of the season finale anyway. Yeah. So it's in no ways essential. I just don't think the script really managed to pull it off. So moving on to a much better script.
Hold on. Let's get scores from everybody else.
Oh yeah, we get scores. The brain's going.
Yeah, the brain's
going.
I would say this is easily the worst of series 1, in my opinion. Yeah, just the worst.
There you go. yeah, this was not good, was it? Let's be brutally honest. Yeah,
no.
And we're getting straight away an E. See, Time Prophet quite liked it.
Oh, for all his, I don't watch New Who.
He's got lots of good scores for it.
He does, yeah. It's funny how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, Sadako, it wasn't the worst for me until Love and Monsters happened. Oh, well,
I think the word nadir comes to mind for it, really, doesn't it?
And a D from Disaster Area. I mean, I'd give it a D minus, and I'm being fairly kind to it, to be fair, but I'd give it a D minus. I didn't. This was not good at all, and Adam just rubbed me up the wrong way. No.
Well, when you're happy that a character has a giant hole in his brain,
you're
happy about it.
Yeah, we have a smile on your face.
This was not a relatable potential companion, but I mean, I don't think he was ever supposed to be. It is a reality lesson, which is trying to be taught.
But no, if you're smiling and grinning when someone's got a hole in their brain, you didn't care. Oh dear me! Right then, shall we get on to the next one?
I can't actually come up with a cool sig for Father's Day. It's Father's Day, but
it's Father's Day.
A return to Earth for an episode which is determined to take time seriously.
Yeah, this was,
and that is always something a bit special in Doctor Who. Funnily enough, is there's not enough stories that take time seriously. And actually, I'm going to completely divert, because yesterday I watched the Ark from Series 3 because I'm still actually re-evaluating Hartnell, and I'm enjoying to do so greatly. I think ideally I'd like to go back and maybe do Hartnell again if we get the chance, because we were doing this in a bit of a different way, and we didn't really get to do it story by story in the way that maybe we should have done. But the arc is an extraordinary story for the use of time.
Yeah.
Because the story is literally set in 2 different time zones, and the TARDIS crew are instrumental in what happens in both. So, but you do have to go back quite a way to find stories that really handle time as intrinsic, City of Death, perhaps.
Yeah. But that's,
time is very important to City of Death.
Oh, yeah.
But this was what made Father's Day stand out. It's about treatment of time.
Yeah.
And so it starts off with creating a paradox.
Yes, the ultimate paradox.
I mean, I'm going to hand over to GoldenAgedgeek here. You tell me about this episode.
So this episode is, I think it's the best of series 1, but also I think it's one of my favorite episodes just of Doctor Who in general. I really do like this episode and how it does play on your emotions a lot. And it's a story which we would never really get in the modern day. You have this dad who is having to find his way. He meets his daughter from the future, and then he has to sort of what's the word? He has to own up to his responsibilities, and he has to make the sacrifice for his daughter. And I think that's not really a story we're going to have in the modern day, but I think for this episode it was just absolutely amazing. And this was one of the first episodes that made me really shed a tear. It was very sad because we've grown to love these characters so much, and to have a Rose-centric episode and to see her heartbreak at knowing that her dad, she's never really known him because he's always been dead. So when she encounters him, she wants to keep hold of him as much as she can, but ultimately she's going to have to let him go, and he's going to have to sacrifice himself because that's the way it was.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. 100%. It is. And that's what makes this episode so good. I agree that it's one of the best episodes. I love this one because of that. It reminded me.
I'm just thinking about how I feel about all of this. I mean, the first thing to say about Father's Day is that it was written by Paul Cornell.
Yeah.
Who was one of, if not the best regarded writers who wrote for Doctor Who between 1989 and 2005 across the book ranges. So, this is somebody writing for the show who really, really, really knows Doctor Who and knows the strings to pull. And he pulls them with finesse in this story. So the experience of a writer is tremendously important to why this works. Yeah. And he does set up the paradox very effectively. And, the break in time and then the time predators, which were constantly reminding me of the chronophores.
Yeah.
But also, a totally new, different twist on this is that this was a Doctor Who story that I watched as a father.
Yeah.
And I think it was the first Doctor Who story that touched on the theme of fatherhood since I'd become a father, which was 1994. So that was 11 years earlier. I've been a father for 11 years at this point. And what really struck me about the Pete character is that, as a dad, you want the best for your kids. You do want to be able to give them everything that you feel they should have. But also, life is hard. And the reality is that fatherhood is hard. And that it's a constant struggle to be able to do that. I mean, obviously some guys do well in their careers better than others, but especially if you've got a kind of ordinary job, it never stops being a damn hard work to be a dad too.
No, absolutely.
So the whole emotional thing of Pete's aspirations and trying to become a better man and trying to become a better dad for Rose, and me sort of looking at that and thinking, if this guy's had another couple of years to kind of keep going down that right path, he could have been so much more. And I mean, ironically, of course, we see that in series 2 in Rise of the Cybermen, where we've got Pete and Jackie are tremendously successful, tremendously wealthy, but this time there is no Rose, which was an interesting juxtaposition. Off the back of this, we'll come to that when we do series 2. But all of that mixed together, and the whole "don't touch the baby" thing, And, the fact that even the Doctor gets destroyed at some point in this story, and the level of desperation that escalates in the situation. And also the sheer joy at seeing giant brick-like mobile phones again. Because also being older fans, we remember, when was this set? 86, wasn't it? The story set
86, yeah.
And this is actually, believe it or not, in Doctor Who terms, this is Trial of a freaking Time Lord going down at the same time that this is all happening.
Yep, absolutely.
So those kind of connective blocks as well. It just was very clear that this was an extraordinarily well written and effective Doctor Who story.
Yeah. Oh, it was. And for me, obviously being a huge Star Trek fan, it did have echoes back to City on the Edge of Forever, where it was Edith Keeler, was it? And McCoy had to let her die.
Yeah, I love her, but she got to die. Yeah,
same sort of thing. Yeah, the same sort of thing where
it's rich juice. If you could slaver it into your script, that is.
Oh, it is, because it's like, I always think,
as Time Prophet says, you had to be rich to have a mobile in the 80s. You certainly did.
And strong arms.
Very much aspirational yuppie. And God, yes, strong arms.
Strong arms, because they weren't light.
They were not light. Jesus.
So, yeah, it was great. So what did you think of? So what did you think of the paradox itself? Because I love paradox stories where it's that, you've got to make that the decision. Would we make the same decision kind of thing? Would you do what you had to do? I always like those sort of things that pose that question. What would I do if I was in that situation? It's a very interesting.
The thing is, the story answers that, doesn't it? Because
of course it does in the end. It does.
The Doctor shouldn't have done it, and he knows he shouldn't have done it. And Rose actually really rips into his soul, but pointing out that he did it because he's just such a sad, pathetic case who ignored his own knowing that it was completely wrong and stupid. It shouldn't happen, and he ignored it because he wants to impress her. Because she actually says it to him, because you're pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's powerful stuff.
Well, he is.
I mean, the Doctor's taking some L's in this story.
Oh,
and rightly so.
And rightly so. Absolutely. He deserved it, to be fair. He really did deserve
but he also brings it round for the most fantastic win.
Of course, but let's get our scores first. Let's get the scores on the doors.
Well, I mean, there's just no hesitation. A+.
Well, there you go. GoldenAgedgeek.
I've got nothing I could mark it down on.
No. What do you reckon?
A++++ through the roof. I love this one.
Everybody, here we go. Sadako A. I have to agree. This is one of the best, one of the best episodes. I absolutely love this one. Absolutely love this one. We get an A-. Time Prophet said he doesn't like it. Gives it a B.
Yeah, terrible episode. Disastrously bad.
Yeah. Are you in the Shed of Dread or hiding next to the radiator in the Bog of Doom? Well, actually, mate, just to let you know, I am actually in the Shed of Dread. And because it's warm here in the UK for a change, it's 16 degrees in here, hence the t-shirt.
Yeah.
I know.
How things change.
Possibly balmy in here.
Yeah.
You're freezing again next week.
Minus 16 4 weeks ago, wasn't it, Gobby? Yeah.
I was dithering a bit. I won't lie. C3PO, nice to see you, mate. He's giving it an A. So I think.
Yes, I C3PO. Yeah, because it was a bloody good story. And then just as you felt you were getting spoiled, are you my mummy?
Oh, well, are you my mummy?
This one terrified me.
There's nothing worse than an empty child.
It is scary. It is it's a very scary episode, to be fair. Brilliant makeup effects. Brilliant makeup effects in this one. I love this one. Absolutely love this one. The empty child. Oh, what a show. I love this one. It's just, but I could see how it would terrify you because it is scary. There's no two ways about it.
Well, welcome, Stephen Moffat.
Yes, indeed. This was
putting
his
pen to paper for the Doctor Who for the first time since the Curse of Fatal Death of Comic Relief a few
Yes.
years before.
Just a few verses before, yes.
So his second official script for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And it's a two-parter. Second
Mhm.
part, of course, being A Doctor Dances.
The Doctor Dances,
But
yep.
this story is about darkness and shadows.
Yep.
Because there's not a daylight scene in it.
No, it's all night time.
So it's dark, it's shadowy, and it's war.
It's World War II.
And everything is as serious as it could possibly be, and people are suffering and dying all over London.
Yep.
And that's bad enough because there's a war on.
Yep.
But then there's this crashed alien ambulance the Doctor was chasing.
Yep.
And there's just something goddamn spooky, and people are afraid.
Very afraid.
And soon after following the ambulance and there being a bit of a time slip and then landing in London and trying to catch it up, Rose manages to do something exceptionally blonde.
Yes.
In a Union Jack t-shirt.
Yes. Yes. Not wise.
Grabs hold of a barrage balloon rope.
Why not?
And finds herself brought aloft across the skies of London in the middle of goddamn blitz.
Mental.
I mean,
good effects.
Talk about companions getting themselves into scrapes.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we've quite seen something on that level for a long time.
No.
What the heck would compare? I'd have to put my brain on to think about that. But certainly very dramatic, and of course a perfect excuse for a gallant rescue by also now legendary to Doctor Who.
Yes, Captain
Jack and Jack Barrowman's first performance for the show.
Yes, indeed. Good old Jack Harkness.
So Captain Jack here is not that old actually. He's kind of ordinary aged. He's an ordinary mortal human being. But he was looking for his spaceship too.
Yes.
And he's got himself a vortex manipulator and a spaceship and stuff for traveling through time and space.
Yes, absolutely.
So, actually, Rose finds him quite a bit more impressive than Sad Case Doctor.
Yes.
He's got a nice turn of a glass of champers as well.
Absolutely.
So we've got this intriguing introduction to this new character, but also exactly how trustable is he?
Bit of the old con man, isn't he? Little bit of the...
While the Doctor's investigations lead him to discover a group of children who are terrified of one child they won't let inside.
Yep.
A lost child who wants nothing more than to find his mummy.
Yeah, are you my mummy?
But whose the consequences of being caught around him are too horrific to even contemplate. And that then sends the Doctor to investigate the local hospital.
Yep.
Where he discovers dozens of beds full of dead people. The only thing being, they've all got gas masks fused to their faces.
Oh.
And they're not dead.
No, they're not.
And they swing around and sit up on the edge of their beds as the Doctor not the Doctor, but the human Doctor the Doctor's been talking to, starts to claw up his throat, choke, gag, and his eyes start to bulge as something starts to force its way out of his mouth, and it's the breather of a gas mask, which then just surrounds and covers his whole face, and all that's left is to ask the terrifying, empty, unanswerable question: are you my mummy?
Oh, it was Richard
credits.
Yeah, it was Richard Wilson, wasn't it, who played
the Doctor? Richard Wilson, yes.
Yes, it was. I didn't believe it.
The first cliffhanger
a brilliant
16 years.
Oh, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So what did you think, Golden Age Geek, about this first part?
Actually, I just told a fib there. The first cliffhanger that counts in 16 years, because we're not thinking about Aliens in London.
No, we're ignoring that.
The first decent cliffhanger in 16 bloody years. Right, delivered.
So go on then, Golden Age Geek. What do you think of the first part?
Yeah, the whole thing just absolutely terrified me. And I think what makes it worse is always when you have this one very much leans into the horror side. And usually when you watch something that does have horror elements, when you have little innocent children that are like these most demonic things ever, that makes it that much creepier, because kids are these little innocent beings. So to see them as these like malevolent, creatures, it just absolutely plays on you.
Don't forget the little touches in the script for adults as well, like the back passage butchery to get around rationing,
Yes.
and what Matt was saying about what people could be like during wartime. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, it's all right. Carry on.
Passage butchery. Where do I get these things from? But it's an accurate description of what was being hinted at. If you want the sausage, you can have to take the sausage.
And all of a sudden we drift off into a different realm.
Look, I didn't put that in the script. You tell Mr. Moffat. If you want a sausage, you get a tater sausage. It's
a great line.
Wasn't in the story, but yeah, it is a great line.
Yeah, it would be a great line. It's something Peter
what I would have done differently if I was writing this story, I'd put that line in there. Oh, no, I'm lowering the whole tone. Stop me.
No, it's fine. It's absolutely
fine. Oh, dear. Shall we score part one before talking about part two on this one?
Yeah, I think this one deserves, this particular two-parter does deserve to be split up into two scores, even though they're probably going to be the same.
I've given 2 A pluses already tonight, so I've got to reel it in a bit. A.
Oh, you only A because you don't want to give it an A plus because you've done too many.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Fair enough. So what do you think, Golden Age?
A plus for me.
There you go. Well, we've got a C from Sadiko, an A from Time Profit. I'll give it an A plus. I love this one.
Can we just dig in with Sadiko? Why the C? What was not working? Talk just about part one.
Yeah, just about part one. I think it might be all the Jack Harkness Rose gooey stuff.
Is it the Jack Rose stuff? I mean, if so, fair enough. I mean, not everybody liked it.
A from Z3PO, so everybody seems to be, apart from Sadiko, which I've got this feeling that's what it is, because it can sort of thing.
Time Profit's going to really have to work at hating New Who. Captain Jack annoyed me. Well, there we go.
Well, there you go.
He's only just gone and given it an A, Gobby.
I know.
He gave it a bloody A. Yeah, give it an A.
Well, blindy A.
Can't stand it. A. Okay.
Disaster areas.
Don't worry, Time Profit. I'm sure the scores are going to go down soon enough. But to be fair, it is a damn good story. Of course you should give it an A.
Disaster area gives this one.
So let's head into part two. What do we think about the cliffhanger resolution? Was it cheesy square gun or was it cool?
I suppose it depends on how I feel at the time I was watching it.
The squareness gun itself is a funky idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea, but if I go back to when I first saw it, I thought it was quite cheesy, to be fair. But yeah, there you go.
But you got to get out of it somehow, and the show has committed far, far, far worse sins.
Oh, way worse!
Cliffhanger resolutions than that. Yeah.
But no, I thought, I'll be honest, if it was when I watched it, I thought, oh, that's a bit cheesy.
Yeah. But it got us on with things. And then we what about you, Golden Age? What did you feel about this?
I wasn't that bothered by it, although I can see how some people may think it's a bit of a cop-out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm too busy enjoying myself to worry about it, because it's always what happens next, which is even more fun with Doctor Who. And we start to explore the hospital more. Yeah. Being aware that now there's these gas mask zombies and now walking around the place, and you really don't want to get touched by them or be around them. But then we find that the child was being treated there, and then this spooky voice recording, and that part, and then also the sort of he's actually in the room with us. That wasn't the recording, you know. Are you my mummy? Panic! Square, let's go, escape, you know. But at this point, it's starting to tick with the Doctor. He's starting to put together what's really been going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the hospital and running around the hospital working out a plot business takes up a fair chunk, doesn't it? And then you've also got the development of the Nancy plot.
Yeah.
And of course, ultimately, she is the one person who can give the empty child the answer that it wants. But yes, she is his mummy. And the whole thing rollicks along quite nicely to its conclusion, you know, with chance to do a bit of dancing along the way. Yes, I mean, certainly the show was making it clear that these characters are comfortable with bisexuality.
Yeah.
In this story, I mean, there was a social message aspect.
Yeah.
But it was undoubtedly in there. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, people can either like that or not. I mean, people at the time didn't like it all that much. Some people.
Yeah, it's the way it is.
You know, why is this? But I kind of say, well, this is what Doctor Who is now, and this is what they've made. And I was kind of, at the point I was watching this going out, I was trying not to be too judgmental about the show.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to let the first series wash over me before really settling into what I really felt about it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't watching these stories getting triggered by a kiss between two men.
No.
Although it wasn't that common on television at the time.
No, it certainly
so
wasn't.
it was obvious at the time that this was a television progress moment.
Yeah.
You know, but it was what it was. So, you know, on the whole, I think part two maybe I think the tension had gone. It wasn't able to maintain the fear factor.
Yeah.
Because you know the story has to conclude.
Yeah.
And once you know that it's the nanovirus, then the child stops being scary after that, because you know it's just a technical problem to solve.
Just a technical problem,
which is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And you know, and you know, the whole thing resolves, and the Doctor saves Captain Jack's life at Rose's urgings not to let him sacrifice himself. But now he hasn't got a spaceship, so Captain Jack's going to have to come with them too.
Of course. And of course, remember that today is the day where everybody leaves, which is a great one.
Now, that is a wonderful moment. That is a seminal moment for Eccleston's Doctor. Just for once. This once. This one time. Everybody lives, Rose. Everybody lives. It's joyful.
It was.
Joyful. It's relief. It's triumph. It's all put together. Really excellent scene. But on the whole, I'm going to have to go with B for part two.
Yeah, I agree. A B, because it did. Once you figured out what it was, it did lose that. It did lose its edge a bit, but I just love the ending. The ending,
you know, it doesn't detract from it. It's still an A story overall.
Oh, it's an A story combined to the two, but yeah. So what do you think, GoldenAge?
So I thought the first part was an A+, and I think this one was a little step down, as you said, with the mystery sort of not really being there with this one. I'd still say an A though. I'd still say second part is an A.
It's a classic problem. You know, setting up a mystery is one thing, maintaining it and paying it off is another. The story does do all three correctly, but it just can't maintain that throughout all of part two. No, it's just not possible.
Yeah, it's not possible. We got a C for the second part for Sadako. B from Time Prophet. So again, it's the same sort of thing that, as we've just said, that it's lost its edge just near the end. A, as always, watch two parts together. Well, okay, that's fair enough. That's usually what it's one of those that they are. It is a good one to watch together in a sort of back to back. I agree with that one.
This this episode put Doctor Who, was being discussed in all the playgrounds.
Yeah.
Everybody was saying, "Did you see the gas mask monsters?"
Yes.
It was being talked about up and down the country. The power that Doctor Who gained this series to get back into the minds of the public once more, to be event television, to be talked about all week long. This was just a wonderful time to be a fan. It was a wonderful time to have the show succeeding in this first season in such a wonderful, unequivocal fashion. So these were good times. These were, in fact, boom times.
Oh, really? Really?
I took us all the way back to Cardiff. Boom!
Again. To refuel the TARDIS, apparently. To refuel the TARDIS.
Oh, God, if you ever want a B story for the season, Boomtown is here.
Yeah, this is a filler. This is the season filler to me.
It's how could we have a monster without paying any money at all? Let's reuse the costume from the other story.
Yeah, absolutely.
How could we have a story with no location expenses at all? We'll film it in Cardiff.
Yeah.
And how should we spend money on sets to tell this story effectively? We won't build any. We'll do it all on location.
All on location. That's it. That's sorted.
So, look, I mean, to a word to the wise, this is not Doctor Who putting on its best.
No.
This is Doctor Who where something's got to be made to go in a slot.
Yeah, it's
unfortunately, that is, best in the world. No one looks at his episode and doesn't know that it is exactly that.
Yeah.
But as far as plot went, abandon Slovene trying to turn a Cardiff nuclear power station into an energy source, but would trash off planet Earth, but allow it to get back to the Canada Planetosaurus. And, but the whole, I'm a woman, but I'm a Slovene trapped inside a woman's body, but I'm a Slovene woman, so I relate to human women. Oh, she's pregnant. The kind of, is humanizing the right word? No.
Not really.
But I think it's certainly a process of creating, the potential to relate and emote with the alien.
Yeah.
And, to understand that, from her point of view, she's all alone in a cruel universe, trapped amongst an inferior species. But then, it's her way of thinking is the whole point, is a whole problem. And ultimately why it has to be resolved by the TARDIS going, here, look at this. Ooh, I'm an egg again.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Which, again, is more important business to set up the finale, just, as was the long game.
Yeah.
So it's hard to love it, but the judgment of the killer thing and now your hands clean stuff, I mean, I think it had some decent business in there. I also really like Noel Clarke's acting in this.
Yeah.
Because he was actually playing Mickey with more edge, more depth, and quite justifiable suspicion and resentment about what the hell Captain Jack was doing in the TARDIS.
Oh, well, of course.
And what that meant with his girlfriend hanging around with him. So, good solid character stuff for Mickey.
Absolutely.
So Noel delivered it solid. So did all the other cast, including Annette Badland, is it?
Yeah, Badland. Yeah.
Who was great in that role of, can you believe that there is an evil Sladine zipped up inside this woman's human skin?
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the really good lines from it, where the doctor's having this dinner and, sort of saying, look, you're trying to get me to feel sorry for you, literally wearing a dead woman's skin.
Yeah.
Which kind of shows you that, this Slovene is not what you should don't fool yourself about.
No, yeah.
This is all very cynical, very manipulative. And of course, when she thought she could get away with it with a cosmic skateboard, she was right on it, wasn't she?
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
she deserved her fate. But it
Yes.
was the mercy of the TARDIS that made that a second chance.
Yes, it did.
So,
Indeed, it did.
An interesting morality to the end of it. But
Yeah.
is this season 1's D? Is this a D? Because I haven't given a D for season 1. And I'm very unlikely to give a D for the last 2 parts.
Well, no, definitely not. But I would give this a D. It was the filler. And the thing is, you could see it was the filler episode. So, yeah, a D. So,
I'd say D as well.
I can't find it to give it a C. It just doesn't have enough to lift it. It's a D.
Yeah,
it's a D.
So,
any raving fans of Boomtown? Anyone going to come up with an A for it?
I doubt it. But before
I doubt it too.
Before we go further, GoldenAgedgeek, what did you actually think of this particular episode?
Yeah, as you said, it's very much filler. Most things that you may say, oh, that's okay about the episode, it's all sort of set up for things that are going on in the future, like Rose and Mickey's relationship. The seeds are there, but what the show really does with it happens later on. So this one, you could easily get rid of it and it wouldn't really have that much of an impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's totally skippable and missable.
Yeah.
But we couldn't say that about next week.
Oh, no, we certainly could not. Because it's time for it all to start to come together.
It's time for delivery, isn't it? Because it's time for the bad wolf.
The bad wolf. The bad wolf.
Just absolutely fantastic stuff.
Well,
I mean, it was so damn cool right from the start.
Yeah.
Because you're going into the Big Brother set. And, and also, of course, this episode dips into various other mainstays.
Yeah.
So, it's really feeding into the popular zeitgeist of the time.
It certainly is.
And it's a very effective, mysterious first part.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't give it away as to what the heck is going on at all easily. And, we don't even have more than the barest hint that this is going to involve Daleks until right near the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So, if you're not paying attention, you could think that this was an entirely different situation.
Yeah.
And it's really great bit of social commentary, really, for the first part of this, and also just a lot of fun, a lot of peril and pain and peril.
Yeah.
And the scene of the android, especially, and also for Trinity and Susanna bots. That all works really well. It already delivers for the audience. But then what exactly is that signal from the game station hiding out there in deep space? Could it possibly be? Oh my God, it is. It's the Daleks, and it's a hell of a lot of them.
Just a few.
And now we said this about Dalek, but even more so, my Doctor Who fan brain, especially with the snippets of what was coming up in part 2 at the end of part 1.
Yeah.
My Doctor Who fan brain said, Daleks done properly.
Yes,
underlined,
proper Daleks. Yep.
Full stop, capital letters. At last! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. I mean, to me, I mean, as much as part 13 delivers in series 1, it's the end of Bad Wolf, it's the end of part 12, but truly told me it had been a success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when you saw the Daleks as we always wanted them to be, because, I mean, it is really important to understand, as much as we overlook whatever in Planet of the Daleks, we always wanted there to literally be an army of Daleks. And
Yeah.
in our minds, there always was an army of Daleks, and Daleks were effective and scary and powerful and terrifying.
Yeah.
You know, so when Series 1 delivered that to us, at that moment, emotionally, to me as a fan, it felt like the new production delivering on the promise for the fandom.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So
Yeah.
very significant part, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're quite right, Gobby. I'm sorry, everybody, because my brain is getting a bit drifting these days. I am actually having a bit of drowsiness and concentration problems with medication.
You're all right there, mate. You're all right there, mate.
Yeah, I'm okay. We're near to the end anyway.
Yeah.
But I forgot to ask Golden Age Geek what he felt of Boomtown. So let's get straight in part 1. Bad Wolf. Tell me all about it, mate.
This episode, I mean, I think there is a lot of fun to it, but the mystery and then the payoff at the end with it being the Daleks was very well done, of course. I'm not sure. I think people nowadays, if they were to watch this for the first time, it does feel very dated because of all the game shows that they go on. They're not really around anymore. I think the episode itself is quite outdated, although I do like all the character moments in there, like when the Doctor thinks he's lost Rose, and you see that rage come out again, that like we saw in Dalek. He's lost the only person that was the light in his life. So you just see him just angry, and the only person who can really bring him to sense until Rose comes back is Jack, because Jack is the fun, whimsical one. But the Doctor, again, you start to really be scared of him because you don't really know what he's going to do, because like in Dalek, he had Rose to sort of settle him down, but this time there's no Rose there, so the anger is just uncontrollable.
Yeah, you can see it as well. There's no check. No check and balance on this one.
Even worse, you know, he's lost Rose Tyler.
Yeah.
You know, that's the man unleashed.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, absolutely. And from everything we've learned about this Doctor, that is a massive watch the heck out Daleks.
Yeah.
And there's no hesitation, you know, because when part 2 starts up, we are bang straight into TARDIS battle action.
Yes. TARDIS is fighting. Awesome.
Have we seen TARDIS battle action? I mean, maybe we've seen a TARDIS threaten the time ram with a master or something.
Yeah, but never into battle.
We've never seen the TARDIS used as an aggressive weapon against a Dalek saucer before.
No, never.
With an extrapolating force field, nullifying all Dalek firepower. And the Daleks proved themselves utterly powerless to stop the Doctor recapturing his companion by materialising his damn ship inside theirs around her. And now for my next trick.
Yes. But no, I've never seen. I don't think we've ever seen the TARDIS being used in such an aggressive.
I'd like to see a lot more battle TARDIS action.
Oh yeah, I like battle TARDIS.
Bring on the Time War series. Let's see some actual battle TARDISes, not just a battered Type 40, but some of what Rassilon's good boy toys. Yes. I'd like to see them in action.
It would be interesting, but no, it was strange to. Well, it was unique to see the TARDIS being used as an offensive weapon because it doesn't really look like one. If you look at it, really, it's a box. It doesn't look very threatening as such, but clearly it can be quite tasty when it needs to.
It could cause an entire army to emerge from your broom cupboard.
Well, it could. I mean, yeah. I mean, there is that, but I mean, it doesn't look aggressive. That's the thing. It's a police box for all intents and purposes. So, you know,
it's a silly wooden box.
It's a silly wooden box, yeah. But you wouldn't.
Although, I've just got to anorak slightly there by pointing out that actually, original police boxes were concrete.
Yes, they were.
And the TARDIS was originally was supposed to be a concrete police box.
Yeah, well,
but somewhere around about the sheer practicality of lugging the damn thing around, it became wood.
Yeah.
But you know, being as original police boxes were designed to actually act as a temporary jail,
Yes, they were. Indeed,
Having
they
a
were.
jail that you could set on fire
Probably
easily
not a good idea. Not a good idea. Really.
wasn't a great idea. So police boxes were actually concrete. But totally aside,
It
it's
does make it
wood.
hard, but-
It's
Yeah,
just wood. It gives Dalek firepower. Not that concrete would be much better.
Well, no, but it's yeah, but for practicality and moving it around the set, concrete's not a good idea. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they could do that.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point from Sadako there. We don't know what adaptations may have happened to the TARDIS during the Time War.
No, this is true because we it's never really been discussed or mentioned. So yeah, it could quite easily been
Souped up a bit.
souped up a bit. Well,
Yes.
you know, yeah, turned into a battle weapon. Yeah, so we don't know. So
I mean, when later on, when we see the Titanic smashing a control room and the Doctor just moves the wheel to seal it back up again, maybe that's time war tech.
probably,
Actually,
well, that
we're
would
actually
make
seeing there.
Yeah, that would
You
make
know,
sense.
allowing the TARDIS to repair damage to its exterior dimensional shell, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, all sorts of, I mean, you could get into all sorts of interesting questions just thinking about the idea of the TARDIS being used as a weapon. But there we are. The show gave it to us and it was exciting and thrilling. And then it was time to meet the boss, as mad as the old boss.
Love it.
It's epic.
It is.
You know, there's no point hiding around inside those doors of wood. Let's go and meet the Daleks. You know, and then pew 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 off my shield. You know, ha ha. Almost nothing could get through that. I wasn't going to tell them that. You know, I mean, this is great stuff. And just the lighting slowly going up, and the dun 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 dun, the Dalek heartbeat.
Yeah,
It's been beating since 1963, and as long as Doctor Who lives, will never stop. Dun-dum, dun-dum, dun-dum. And then the big reveal, it's the big boy!
The notorious B.I.G. Emperor Dalek.
Yeah, the B.I.G. Emperor, yes. He's had to expand a bit since we last saw him at the Evil of the Daleks, and I do believe this is the same Emperor.
Of course, I think so as well. I think so. Well,
because what sort of Doctor Who fans would we be if we didn't believe that?
Well, of course.
You know, I mean, we don't know how the Emperor re-entered the Time War. You know, I mean, maybe he got resurrected. Who knows? Anything could happen. But you know, what has happened is that thousands of years of the darkness contemplating its own navel and sifting genetic cells it found suitable from the masses of humanity over hundreds and hundreds of years to create a new empire of Daleks has driven the Dalek Emperor absolutely nuts.
Mental as anything.
But now he is the god of all Daleks.
Yes, the god of the Daleks. Not the master, God.
So he reached out into the darkness and created life. Am I not a god, Doctor?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. You know, I mean,
it's brilliant.
The Doctor was horrified that one Dalek could escape the Time War, and now this is like it was all. If he lets the Daleks win in this situation, all for nothing. All of his people, all gone for nothing. So the stakes could not be higher. But at the same time, he's got a promise to keep to Jackie Tyler, and that's one thing he just can't have on his conscience. So he tricks Rose to run back into the TARDIS and sends her back to early 21st century power state.
Yeah.
While Jack works to rally the Defenders, such as they are, and the Doctor works on his Delta Wave to take out the Daleks before they can kill all the Earth. And the clock is ticking, and the situation is just desperate. All good stories need a point where everything is hopeless and desperate.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think that in selling the stakes of his finale, Russell achieves that extremely well at that point in the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what's going to change things? What's going to turn it around? Well, it's not the Doctor. he hasn't really got any option. He can't even finish this device in time. He's just trying desperately. Jack's doing everything he can. And Rose has been sent back to Earth.
Yep.
But of course, it's Rose who just won't give up.
No, won't quit.
She just can't fucking settle for it, Mum. She can't settle for the life of Chips, knowing that right now that battle's going on right now, and the doctor's giving his life for all of us. And I'm not there, Mum.
Yeah.
Just great stuff. Because it helps you to believe that Rose would be as desperate as to go as far as she does, and get her mum and Mickey to get a damn big forklift and pull the face off that console.
Yep.
And then she look into the heart of the TARDIS, and it's zoom back to the action, back to the future. Just as it's all got too late at Satellite 5, and they've run out of time, and the defenders have been overrun, and it's do or die, and the Dalek Emperor is teasing the Doctor. What are you, man or coward? Are you going to pull that trigger or not? What are you? A hero or killer? Or coward or killer?
Coward
and
or
the
killer,
Doctor decides coward every day of the week. And at that point, the salvation arrives as the TARDIS materializes. The doors swing open, swing inward, and the cascading golden light of the time energy fills the room as the bad wolf stands unveiled before them all.
Yep. Absolutely.
And
brilliant.
Just as the Daleks were at that moment of triumph, they are shown to be undone and unmade as the bad wolf erases them from time and space.
It was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
We are not done yet.
Nope.
Because Rose Tyler is an ordinary human being, just an ordinary girl, and she is not going to survive the energy of time itself running through her veins. So the Doctor does the only thing the Doctor could do, an efficient medical extraction of time energy. But looked a lot like a snog.
It was a snog, yeah.
But entirely allowable under the circumstances.
Well, yes, indeed.
As far as the Doctor knows, that's it. They're the last survivors. Everybody's dead. We get into the TARDIS. It dematerializes just as Captain Jack comes whooshing back to life with a "what the heck happened to me?" And then it's time to say goodbye.
It is indeed.
As the TARDIS is in flight, the Doctor tries to explain to a Rose waking up and coming back to her senses after having the power of time itself pour through her what's happening as best he can in the time he has available, because there's not a lot of time now. Nothing can really stop this change. You never know really what you're going to get. It's a funny old process. And all of a sudden, here it comes, and it's regenerate!
Time! But you know what?
Ooh, weird. New teeth. Ooh.
Yes. Yes, indeed. It finishes well. I mean,
I'll take you to Barcelona.
Absolutely brilliant. So, Golden Age Geek, what did you think of this?
Well, this final episode was the perfect way to wrap up Series 1, because if you were to have a first series that encapsulates everything that the show is, you have to end it with a regeneration story, because regeneration is a massive part of Doctor Who. And one thing that I did like about the regeneration between Eccleston and Tennant that I don't think we've had since is that even though the CGI back then wasn't as great, they go more in depth with the change, because when you see from Eccleston to Tennant, you actually see the physical changes like the hair growing out and that sort of thing. And that's something that we haven't had since. And I'm curious why, because they obviously have the technology to do it. But I think this regeneration
it's a bit uncanny and creepy, isn't it? I mean, I liked it, but I actually, you know, when Eccleston is he's just about to change the tenant, start to morph the tenant, and he's in the regeneration stream. I used to use that as an avatar.
Yeah.
And people used to say that's satanic.
Okay.
They used to think it was some kind of burning man, but you interpreted not knowing the context. When people had counted that image, they interpreted it quite differently. So I think maybe but maybe they found it a little bit open to misinterpretation, or just it's a bit
shame.
too odd, But I mean, when Smith turned
it.
to Capaldi, it was done in the moment, and I felt that had no weight to it.
No whatsoever.
I felt the Tennant to Smith regeneration was a really good, well realised one, which again did do the morph.
Yeah.
So it's really since the end of Smith that neither of the generations we've had since have really come up to that kind of scratch. But this was certainly so effective as the first time for showing us the regeneration.
It was.
And that effect became iconic, so that in series 4, when we're being faked out, but the Doctor's regenerating, we wouldn't believe it without that effect. And of course, we also see it used so well with a Master at the end of series 3, and we see that light coming out the TARDIS light windows, and we just know that there's bad trouble inside for the Doctor. So as an effect, I think it was effective and immediately became iconic with the show.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, absolutely. But no, I liked it. I thought it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It was the fitting end to a great series. To be fair, it was New Who was back.
I'll say this for Bad Wolf Part in other ways. If you watched it as a story in isolation, it's not as effective as if you've seen all the build up in series 1 to it, because it doesn't pay off as well without all of that.
You need the build
to buttress the structure for the build up. So as a two-parter in isolation, maybe it's only a B, because there's key bits of it are actually outside of this story. But in the context as the finale to series 1 being watched at the end of series 1, it's an A for me. I've always really enjoyed watching it. I've always really felt satisfied by it. I've felt that it handled all of the characterizations wonderfully. And by giving the characters such a crucial, utterly pivotal role in the Doctor's change, it delivered in a very satisfying fashion for me. I felt that this was a very complete end, and a deserved and well earned end, because for all of his talking through the stories, I mean, it's just because we'd have to say it so much, but just how fantastic Chris Eccleston and Billy Piper were.
Yeah, I agree.
We couldn't have asked for better for whatever our fears and concerns going into this. We had Doctor Who fans, old and new.
Yeah.
And at this point, there was a huge number of new Doctor Who fans.
Yeah, there certainly was.
Everybody had exactly what we hoped it could be delivered to them.
Yeah.
So series 1, fantastic triumph. Eccleston's portrayal as the Doctor, timeless.
Yeah.
And it will forever be a very powerful, self-contained series of the show that ensured the show has had, we're heading towards 15 seasons.
Yeah.
And of course, with the gaps in New Who as well, it isn't that much. There's not many more years to go, and if New Who manages to keep running, it will be around longer than Classic.
Yeah.
And of course, I completely agree with what we said with Ian. But actually, we should be renumbering this, and series 1 should be series 27
because it
is the same show.
Because it's exactly the same show. Yeah.
So I think in a few years' time, that will just become inevitable because the new Who, Classic Who divide just won't make any sense anymore.
No.
Certainly not to anybody encountering the show after the point that New Who's already 26 years old,
Well, yeah, exactly.
So, but, fans will always look back on this era, and it does reflect the time. I mean, I think it's right that Bad Wolf in particular has dated with the game shows, but that also makes it of the time.
It does make it exactly.
And I think that's also part of what always makes older Doctor Who so interesting to watch.
Yeah.
So, overall, I was just so happy. And by the time we got to the part of the ways, I had full confidence that Billy and David Tennant and Noel Clarke would continue to make the show a huge success. And, we will always owe all of them for what they did.
Absolutely.
I'm feeling summed up.
Yes, so I shall go to Golden Age Geek to give his sum up of the series. So fire away, mate. Let's hear what you have to say.
I'd say Parting of the Ways is easily an A for me as well. And I think with what you were saying, John, about if you take this in isolation, it maybe ain't as good. I do agree with that because each episode in this series does feel like a block, and it feels like building blocks to this final episode. Every episode contributes to something that will play a part in this final episode. So I do agree with that, and I think that in some ways you could see that as a good thing, but also if you prefer more sort of standalone episodes, then maybe not as much. But overall, this series I think was the perfect reintroduction to Doctor Who for people who had seen it before. And as you said, there have been millions of new fans joined the fan base because of this series alone, because it was so accessible for people to get back into, but also for people who had watched it before.
And this is what's going to happen again. No matter what anybody thinks, this is what's going to happen again with Disney Plus and RTD and Nkuti Gatwa. We're going to have Doctor Who fans like we've never, ever, ever seen before. And, I think next year, whether I'm here to see it or not, I think next year will be a truly epic year for Doctor Who. Yeah. Because I really do believe the show is going to conquer, because I think the show is going to come back with a de-wokified, not entirely unwoke, but a de-wokified version, which is going to really connect with audiences, very powerful, be out the gates ahead of the pack. I think Doctor Who's going to be big news next year.
Yeah.
So, and this, everything that Series 1 has done, I fully believe the show's going to pull off again.
Yeah.
Because I really look at it as the reboot of a reboot now that we're going into.
I concur. Absolutely concur with that.
Certain people on Twitter were having real problems with it earlier today.
That's Twitter. That's Twitter. Hive of scum and villainy that it is.
No names, no pack drill, but people who think like this. I will read this out. People who are returning to Doctor Who just because David Tennant is back, or because there will be a man back in the role for the foreseeable future, try forever, babe, are the biggest red flags walking. I don't care if it means that the show will be popular again. We all know what's actually going on here. Yes, well,
yeah, exactly.
Some people should have fallen in love with what the show actually is, rather than their idea of what the show should be, and then they wouldn't find it all so difficult. But clearly not lessons that Golden Age Geek found it hard to learn.
No, absolutely.
Because it's always wonderful for me to talk to a newer generation of fan who love the show just deeply as we do. And that's part of what I'm finding so great about these streams is making more connections. Both to fans like you who knew who was the start, but also for me, for fans like Ian. Because as I mentioned, I'm reassessing Hartnell, and I've been very inspired by talking to Ian and Ian's passion for the early years of the show.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to see through the black and whiteness, some of the production values a bit, and find the magic, and it is there.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Series 1 will always be a jumping on point for some people, which will always lead them on these wonderful adventures through all these 60 years of stories.
Absolutely.
And that's why Doctor Who fans are just such very, very lucky people.
Yes, they are indeed. And I think that brings that one nicely and succinctly to a close, shall we say.
Except to say, see you next week, only we will not.
No, we will not. Unfortunately, I have a pressing engagement that I need to attend next Friday, so I will not be able to do it. So we're going to have a week off.
Yes, and then when we come back, it will be Why We Love Doctor Who Series 2.
Series 2, because we can't do it by
and
Doctor.
If the stream's going well and we've got a bit of spare time, we might just dip in a story or two, but we'll see how it goes. But one series, one stream, and we've still managed to do 2.5 hours.
Yes,
I think it's just gonna have to be the way it is.
Yeah, it's just the way it's gonna happen.
And we haven't, and I'm saving the Christmas invasion till next week because I'm going. That's a 10 episode.
It is a 10
episode. Time to say goodnight for now.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, what better praise could our efforts have than that people are going, damn, I was looking forward to it next Friday. We couldn't be happier that we've been able to do these streams and you guys are enjoying them so much, but you actually give a shit if we're not doing one. So, of course you do. And we'll see you a week on Friday.
Okay, indeed. And can I also say thank you so much to GoldenAgedgeek to come on board. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to have you on.
Yeah, please come on again. We'd love to see you again.
It's been a pleasure to be here.
It's been fantastic. It's great to get. We like what we like to do on these streams is to get other people's points of view, and it's just refreshing for somebody who this was originally your first Who, and it's been absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Can I just take a quick one here? Disaster area. John, have you seen the recolored clips on YouTube? Yes, I have, and I am completely comfortable with the idea of recolorizing.
Yeah, why not?
Who? I personally believe that we shouldn't put any barriers in place to making the show accessible. As long as the black and whites are always available, so colorizing is not an issue. If we colorized it and dumped the black and whites so no one could get them anymore, I would not have a problem with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with the animations, some people prefer to watch them in color, some people prefer to watch them in black and white, some people prefer to watch them just the animations, some people prefer to watch them with the what television material exists used wherever possible. So everyone approaches these things in different ways. I tend to enjoy the colored versions of the animations, and I think when we look at how much fun it was to be able to watch Galaxy 4, or at least a version of it in vibrant color, how much that enlivened the Hartnell story. So I am a supporter of colorization, as long as it's never imposed and the show is always there to be enjoyed in black and white purity for its first 6 years.
Awesome. Right then, shall we bring this to a close, gentlemen, as it's another 2 hours?
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us. And we shall see you, well, not next week, the week after. See you later. Bye-bye.